so of other things we wanted to talk about today.
This is really what we mainly wanted to talk about because I've seen, since the beginning of quarantine, I know a lot of people have been, like, reverting back to, like, past hobbies and watching older TV shows that they once had an interest in. Specifically, like...
Such a sweet way to put it.
Specifically, like, you know, going back to, like, your middle school self or, like, high school self.
Like, where you were when you were last depressed at this level.
Which actually is a coping mechanism, reverting back to things
I saw that tweet too!
It is. It's trying to get things that you're familiar with. So in doing so, we...
started watching Supernatural again.
Oh, God.
It's kind of cringy to say.
It really is.
But when you're back in it, you're like, oh, shit.
And this just
I forgot that this happened and this happened. And
So you mentioned it one night. We were all just, like, talking or whatever, and you were like,
you and me?
Yeah. Well, no, Brendan was there.
Yeah, but he doesn't even...
he hasn't seen it. So, okay, her and I, you brought it up, and she was just talking about it. She's like, you know what, I've been thinking about Supernatural. And then we just talked for probably like an hour about it.
I forgot why I even brought it up. I forgot what made me think about it.
I genuinely don't know. And so I think that night we said goodnight to each other, and then I actually didn't start watching until the next day, so I held out.
I think I said, all right.
Yeah, so we started rewatching it. I kind of skipped around the first two seasons-ish.
I went straight to the second season.
Because if you've seen the show, then you know.
You don't need the first season.
The first season, it's okay, but there's not much of a plot there. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Second season, a little bit more of a plot, a little bit more structure, but still you can skip around.
And I do want to say, thank you. I'm touching my hair.
Yeah,
that's so sweet.
you put it up.
Anyways, for anyone who has ever planned on watching this show, we are about to
spoil it, but also it might not make any sense.
So you could keep listening to us talk about it, and then slowly it will make sense.
Yeah.
We also, I think both of us stopped watching. Okay, so here's a spoiler. We stopped watching after Dean came back from purgatory, right? Both of us.
It was a little bit after that, but roughly about that.
So we both stopped at the same time.
Which I think is when a lot of people also stopped watching.
The only time I watched it again was because I heard they did a Scooby-Doo crossover, and I just had to see that episode, so I did. But, like, besides that, we don't know how the series ended.
Yeah. Yeah, so neither one of us know how... So it's kind of like a little bit spoiler, but then it's more like the middle bits.
Yeah, like, I think I'm going to finish this season.
I would like to.
Yeah, or this series.
Yeah, just to know.
I actually tweeted, again, to follow us on social media.
Yeah, our Twitter... Not to, like, shout out our Twitter, but, like, I think we're pretty funny.
Mine's underappreciated, okay? I know, because I tweeted, Supernatural lasted as long as my parents' marriage, and then I retweeted it to say... And it should have ended sooner or something like that.
Supernatural lasted longer than my parents' marriage. It did.
That's so funny. Wait, how long did your parents?
How I was...
How many years?
I was 12. No. I was 11 when they got divorced.
Yeah. So 11 years.
11 years.
12?
But actually, I want to say that I was 11 when they told me they got divorced.
They were kind of like been divorced.
Yeah, like it was like one of those things like, oh, let's go live at grandma's house for a while, and then like 3 years later, me asking my mom, like, are you and my dad still together? Okay, not like 3, but like it was never that like official like hey, like we're good. So it wasn't like anything like that. So it was probably closer to 10 years.
Okay.
And what, Supernatural had like
15
seasons.
That's how long my parents were together.
So they were...
Yeah, Clem, 15 seasons. Isn't that crazy?
Clem has never seen it, so...
Yeah, so we asked her if it was okay if we talked about it.
So yeah, lasts longer than my parents' divorce, which is really fucking funny.
I'm curious to know how they kept it up. Well, actually, I was Wikipediaing some stuff. Well, because I wanted to remember some characters and like what happened, and I got a little taste of how it ended. I think I told you.
I haven't looked up anything. Well, you told me, but honestly, I don't remember.
Okay, good. Because I think it was one character I looked up, and then it was like, and then this happened when she returned later, and I was like, oh, okay.
So yeah, neither one of us have finished it. We're both, I think, season 4, like halfway through season.
I think I just got into 5 or something.
Okay, so
like Lucifer is here.
Okay, so I'm about 4 episodes before the end of season 4. So we're both pretty close there. Like we're actually not watching it together, but like we're on the same track.
We're close enough.
Yeah. And might I just say, wow, what a show. Like, you know, they really had us going in those middle seasons.
Facts.
I mean, my favorite part, and I think a lot of people's favorite parts, is when Castile comes in. Like, you just can't
that
not.
episode? Like,
oh, best character intro ever, with the fucking wings and the thunder and the lightning and the shaking, and I'm like, damn.
Right? And, like, how they build it up, like, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then you're like, an angel.
Exactly.
And then, like, even though you're like, okay, it makes sense for them to go the God route.
Yeah.
It still was like, wow, y'all are going the God route.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you guys are doing that. And you know what? I'll say it. I fell for the queer bait. There we go. I think everyone did.
Facts. I mean, didn't even the actors were like, yes, Castiel and Dean should be together.
Yes, I think so.
And honestly, some men are very straight. But I believe that as a bi person with a bi agenda, sometimes you might just meet that one person that changes your mind. And that was Dean and Castiel.
Literally. And like we talked, there was like a whole thing about... Yes. There was like a whole thing where I think Castiel at some point, I don't remember this exactly, but I think he like had to go into like a female's body for some reason.
Right, and then
then Dean was like weirdly not weirdly, because like duh, it's Castiel, but like Dean was like attracted, and like it was almost a thing, but then it was like one episode type situation. I don't know if I'm making that up in my head.
No, I think it happened. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
To like rewatch. Because I'm also remembering, I think, well, one, when you binge watch things, you don't really remember them. Yeah. But when I was really watching the show was when my parents were getting a divorce. Like, that's why I don't really remember it. It was a coping mechanism.
For sure. But yeah, we've talked about this for a lot the past couple of days, and also we've both been house sitting, so we haven't actually seen each other a lot. So it's a lot of just like us texting back and forth.
We're like, I can't fucking
be
believe.
like, oh my god, or oh my god, this character just came in, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like I remember when in season 3, when Gabriel first made his first appearance.
They had us in the first half.
They had us in the first half, and they made his first appearance, and he was just a trickster god, and he like they didn't say who he really was.
And then he was an archangel.
Like,
or there's some episodes they'll start. So that was a plot twist.
Yeah.
They even do that in some episodes. I'll be like, oh, I remember the plot twist at the end of this was like super good, and then you get to it and you're like, right, like
like you remember the plot twist, but you don't remember what it is. Like you just know that it's coming.
But like, very creative show, because like honestly, for the time that it came out, it's kind of like, okay, been there, done that, you know. But like they did it in such a unique way that they've almost done it all, to where any show that comes afterwards,
they like trademarked everything.
It's like, okay, well, Supernatural really just kind of
they did it first.
So like
they stayed on so long just so that they can say they did everything first.
Mean, and they really did. They really, I feel like any other like mystical thing that I watch, it's almost like Supernatural really just like just like really any last creative thing you could do with like the mystics or whatever, they did it.
I mean, they explored everything.
They like, really did it all.
Shit that I have never even heard about. They're like, oh yeah, here's this. They were pulling up lore out of everywhere.
I mean, and it was really good.
Yeah.
Like, when they really start going into the whole angel plotline,
which I fucking love.
So good. Like the fucking prophet and that guy.
Yeah. I really liked how they talked about how angels weren't allowed to question God at all. Like they really said that, and how. What were you saying the other day about how like Lucifer, like, you know, being a fallen angel and everything, was like he only fell because he questioned God, and then the whole Anna thing, which I just watched her. I just watched that episode.
So good,
queen shit,
so good.
But yeah, like they were punished for questioning God or questioning authority. Yeah. And then the whole thing with Castile and like his soft spot being the Winchesters. It's really just Dean. It's really Dean.
I feel bad for Sam because he wants to be. I think, and now that I'm really like watching him deteriorate. Did I even say that right? Whatever. But like, I feel bad for him because he's always been such a good guy, and then him and Dean kind of become inverse of each other.
It's really interesting.
He wants to be so good. He really does.
Like when he first meets,
the bad side chose him, and they fuck with his head so much. You know,
like when he first meets the angels, he's like, oh my god, it's such an honor. Like I'm so happy to meet you. Like you guys are amazing. And they're like, okay, actually, don't touch me.
Disgusting.
They're like, oh.
With your demon blood.
Castiel's a little more. He's like, He's like,
okay,
thank you. I'll shake your hand, but
I'll stand next to you.
Right. But and you can just see his face fall, and I'm like,
I really feel bad for him because like he wants to be good, but like he's dealt such a shitty hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but I forgot until it got to it. He is the like prime vessel for Lucifer.
Yeah, that was the thing. He was supposed to be the vessel for Lucifer because Dean was supposed to be the vessel for Michael.
It's just so crazy, and then Dean's like suddenly like the self-righteous one with like the angels, and he's the really good one, like that.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of talked about this, or we were talking about this a little bit, and it's really interesting because Dean, he's considered like the righteous one, or like in terms of like the angel's eyes and stuff like that. How like he's the chosen one for Michael, and how Dean is the chosen one for Lucifer, and they're each other's vessels. And it's really because I think Dean sees things like black and white. Yeah. Like things are either like they're good or they're bad, they're true or they're false. Like it's just very one way or the other, which is kind of how the angels think versus Sam is a little bit more seeing that gray area and seeing that like
well, we should question this.
Yeah, like we should question this, or like yes, I have these, demon powers, but like I'm using them for good, therefore it's okay. Like and versus Dean is like, no, you have demon powers, you shouldn't use them at all because they're from demons, like it's bad. But Sam is able to see a little bit more as, like, see that gray area, and, like, things aren't always what it seems, which is really kind of goes back to the whole idea of, like, with Lucifer and demons and stuff, being able to question authority and, like, thinking for yourself, which is the angels, they don't allow that.
Yeah.
Which, it makes sense, because it is confusing at first, because Dean is technically supposed to be, like, the womanizer and like the I don't know, the bad boy type, so you would think that he would be better for Lucifer and Dean would be the one for, so you think it would be switched, but
I was like, hats off. I love the episodes too where they get kind of meta with it.
Yeah.
Like where they the episode where they find out about the prophet. I just watched it, that's why I keep referencing it. But and they literally roast the fans.
Oh,
in that episode, I was like, knee slapper, like that's hilarious. Like I don't know, sometimes when they're meta about it, that especially that episode was so funny. But yeah, like going back to so one thing I want to say, just a few grievances with Supernatural.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay, one, lack of representation.
Oh, for sure.
None of the main cast are Black or POC people.
It's all white people
and white men.
CW is kind of notorious for.
True. But even men, like, even in the later seasons, like, I always thought, okay, well, like, we're kind of getting more woke now, and there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
Because people have been wanting that. They still, like, I don't know, I'll see posters, like, because, I'm going back to my fan roots, so I'm watching all the behind-the-scenes bullshit, and, like, I'll see that there's some guy that they added, I don't know who he is, but some young blonde guy. Yeah. He's still white. I'm like, y'all could have, like,
no representation.
We were in the era, like, this show just ended last year, like, that's crazy to me. And then, I mean, I don't know if it gets better in the later seasons, but, like, the derogatory language towards women,
it's like, really uncomfortable.
It is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and
that's even when I was first watching it, I had trouble looking past.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable the way that, I mean, specifically Dean, the way that Dean kind of talks about women, and then with Joe and Ruby. First of all, the way that he talks to Ruby is really uncomfortable. He uses a lot of derogatory terms, and and for really no reason at all. Like, I get it, she's a demon, but, like...
Yeah, but, like, any woman who's a demon, it's always a slut and a whore.
Slut, whore, bitch. Like, it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was, like, one scene where Ruby shows up, and Dean was like, oh, here comes the whore demon.
I was just like...
And I'm like, it's really uncomfortable to watch.
And it's crazy because their fan base ended up being majority women.
Yeah.
So, like, it's crazy that they... I mean, I don't know in the later seasons if they ever are like, okay, grow up and stop being shitty men.
Yeah.
Like,
and, like, the way that they treated Joe was, like... even after she proved herself over and over again to be a competent hunter, like, she never, slipped up or, like, whatever. Like, she always, like, held her ground. Like, she was good as shit. Mm-hmm. She literally... I think the first time her and Dean met, she, like... I think she... broke his nose or some shit. Like, she held her fucking ground, and they always treated her like a child. Like, she didn't know what she was doing. Like,
The women are, even when they held their own ground, they always become objects of desire.
Yeah.
Except for, that one, not Anna, but the other redhead bitch, because she was like,
gay.
well, I'm a lesbian.
Yeah.
And they were like, well,
okay.
Okay.
But didn't they eventually kill her?
Yeah, that's how it always ends up happening. So my other grievances with Supernatural is when I first started watching it, and I don't know how I'll feel now, but I remember when Bobby died, and that was when I felt like the show just, because Bobby was so awesome. He was just such a great side character. However, I think that's kind of when Crowley started to show up, and that's an amazing actor, amazing character.
Yeah.
I can't fucking wait for Crowley. I'm like, where's Crowley? Where's Crowley? I'm fucking ready. Like, we're finally at Cassio. Like, where's Crowley? I'm fucking ready for that shit.
Right.
But, still, I remember feeling like, and then, oh my god, like, he dies, and it was always like, Sam, why didn't you save me? And then
my God.
he's like, well, Dean, you were dead, and just that bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I was so tired of both of them dying and trying to save the other. It was just...
It got to a point where I'm like, you know what? It would be a plot twist if you did fucking die. Like, if you
Just
saved
write 'em out.
it. Yeah.
And then my last grievance, which I talk about too much, I know with you, is no offense to Jared Padalecki's wife, but I thought she did a shitty job as Ruby. Like, that first bitch from Arrow, her face doesn't really move, so I feel like that's the problem. But, I just felt like she didn't play Ruby correctly. I loved the Arrow bitch.
Turned Ruby into a different character.
And she was way more sexual. Like, that was weird.
Yeah.
And
when did they start dating? Like, were they already dating before that show?
She was in the new... it was like they met on the show.
So they met on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it turns out with, Jeremy, right? That's his name?
Jensen.
God, why do I always want to call him Jeremy? He and his wife were already together.
Okay.
And then she shows up later in the show. Like, she got an acting gig.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my grievances. I will forever hold a grudge about how... What's her name? Genevieve played Ruby poorly, in my opinion.
Fair.
In my humble opinion. I think she just should have moved her face less. That's probably what it really was.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to say about Supernatural?
I don't think so, because like we're still, like I said, we're still watching it, so I'm sure we'll talk about it again. And still developing story.
And despite our grievances and the way we wish some things were done, I mean, it's very creative. Like, it's crazy the concepts that they come up with and the way things go, and it is well done. I mean, there's a reason why I was on for like fucking 15 seasons, and there was a whole SuperWhoLock shit happening, which I was involved with.
Oh no, I was heavily involved. Not my finest moment, for being honest, but you know,
I was like, you know what? I see what y'all are seeing.
Right.
I was thinking about today how I went to see in theaters the 50th
Doctor Who.
Fuck yeah, I had tickets to
Listen,
that.
You know what? You know what? Supernatural might be a little bit cringy. Sherlock might be a little bit cringy. I'll stand by fucking Doctor Who.
Yes.
That's a good ass show.
David Tennant, his seasons were so good. I also love Donna. She was my favorite, and nobody really likes her as much as I do.
I didn't really like her that much.
I loved her. I love the scene, and it's iconic, where she's screaming from the window.
Yeah.
Come on, like, that's great. And
I liked her. She just wasn't my favorite.
Fair. She was my favorite companion with David Tennant. Now with Matt
Rose?
Smith,
Really? Rose?
I don't care about Rose like that. I gotta be honest. I don't give a fuck about... I know. I'm like, y'all want to kill me now.
Our 16 subscribers just unsubscribed.
I know. I'm sorry. That's like literally like blasphemy in the...
I fucking love Rose.
She was so bland. She did not have a personality. She was a manic pixie dream girl. Say it. You know it's true. Rose was a manic pixie dream girl.
Okay.
And when they made it that whole weird relationship, and then what was it? Was she like, she ended up with his clone? Like, that was weird.
Yeah, okay, so Bad Wolf, right? I remember this. It was like she got sent to this parallel universe, and she was living there for a while, and then I think, if I remember correctly, so she got sent there, and she was trying to warn the other side about Bad Wolf, and about the upcoming apocalypse, and all this shit, and then they solve all that, and somehow the Doctor's able to, like,
clone himself.
He, like, clones himself, and he goes to the other universe, but he can't stay there, but his clone can stay there. And so he leaves the clone with her.
stupid. It's fucking stupid.
I liked it.
Best storyline in all of Doctor Who was Matt Smith with Amy Pond.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
What was he? The 10th Doctor, whatever.
11th. Yeah.
That, all of that shit, and when,
I love...
What's her name? River?
Yes, River Phoenix.
Oh.
Yes.
No.
River,
I don't remember her last name.
No, she...
Her name was River, but I don't remember her last name. But that whole arc...
Yeah. That was something.
That was amazing.
David Tennant was probably, like, my favorite Doctor, but Matt Smith just hit different, because I watched him from beginning to the end.
He was my first Doctor. That's why he's my favorite.
He was my first one that I watched all the way through. Mm-hmm. Like, I came about, like, halfway through David Tennant's, like...
Gotcha.
Time.
Yeah.
But then I was there for Matt Smith from when...
God, and he was so fun.
Mm-hmm. I didn't watch any after Matt Smith.
No, I tried to, and it was just...
Yeah.
I didn't like that old. And it's not because he was old, I just didn't like him.
Yeah, I didn't vibe.
There
didn't
was
pass
no
the vibe
ageism
check.
there.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing. They were like, he's old. And
yeah.
like they made a whole thing of it. And I was like, I just don't like him.
Yeah. And I didn't really care too much about the companion. What was her name? Clara?
She was fucking annoying. She just was.
Yeah.
No offense, but she was.
Yeah. Facts.
I mean, you're coming after Amy Pond.
Dude, you can't.
You can't.
Like, just accept it.
It was too good.
Yeah.
It was like they just did too well. And nothing could live up to that. And
yeah.
That's why I had to stop watching.
Yeah.
So.
Period.
Please. How are we doing on time?
Like 45 minutes in, but the battery might die.
Okay. Sick. Okay, well, let us know when that starts to blink. You know how it does. And then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other nerd shit.
Wow.
Because we actually got through Supernatural a little.
I love it faster than expected.
Yeah, probably because
we've already talked about it so
much between ourselves.
It'll be like throughout the day, and like we'll send each other texts, be like no context behind it, but just be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
All right. I'll talk about hotness. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
All right. So. We know I have a type, dark hair.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not much to it. I thought Jared Padalecki was so cute in the get-go.
I never thought he was hot. I never did. I was always Dean girl from the beginning. I thought Dean was so cute.
I eventually liked him because of his personality. I hate the way the actor does. I
his
notice
lips.
People's lips. Yeah. So I hate how
he has very full
lips. And I hate how and then he drops really deep like this. And I fucking hate that. I also remember
anytime it's like a deep moment, he like purses it. He's like, Sam, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, sometimes when he's like mad and he's like, and they do the close up, and there's so many close ups in that show, it's ridiculous. But yeah, when there's like close ups of you and Jared, sometimes Jared, he does a lot of nose twitches.
He does.
And I'm like, I have to laugh sometimes.
Dean purses his lips, and
he's
Sam's like,
yeah, he like scowls and he purses his lips, and he's like, Sam. It's so stupid. But that's like why I honestly can't watch the Christopher Nolan Batmans because I fucking hate Christian Bale in that. Because, okay, don't give me that face. Because here's the thing with Christian Bale.
I fucking love
his
Christian
top
Bale.
lip purses out when he's Batman and he talks like this. And I fucking hate it. And I hate every time he's in the Batman suit and he does this. Okay, y'all need to watch me on YouTube. I do a great impression because he sticks out the top. I can't do it. I focus on lips too much. So there's that.
Yeah.
So Jared Padalecki, I was like, oh shit. Like, yeah. I love it. That is my type. But it's after the second season when he starts to do the middle part as he does. And then
I don't mind the middle part.
I like it. It looks better. But then, I don't know. He was like... He just starts to be... I'm not into, like, men yet. And that sounds, like, weird, but, like, I mean, like, 30-year-old men. I'm not into that look yet. Like, the beards, I'm not about it. Like, 20s, like, give me those men. But, like, I don't like 30-year-old grown men who look like they need children. Yeah. Or they do have children. Like, I can't. Yeah. But so then, same thing. So his hairline starts to recede, and he's got the full beard. I'm just not so much into it. It's just, there's a lot of forehead. And the same thing with Matt Smith. His hairline started to recede, and then he lost his eyebrows, which was so crazy.
That's weird. Where did they go? I don't know. Where did they go?
So by the time Claire, maybe that's why I don't really like her, is because that's when Matt Smith wasn't hot, but he was so hot in the beginning of all of that. And I was like, you know what, Amy Pons? Fuck Rory. Get with the doctor.
No.
Okay, they were cute.
I was always Team Rory.
There was always those weird moments.
There was weird moments, but I was always Team Rory.
Yeah, I'll never forget the Centurion episode. That was...
Yeah.
I don't even think I really understood
what was going on.
Yeah, or even... what happened after that?
Thinking about it kind of feels like a fever dream. Like,
Yes.
Because, like,
you remember, like, weird bits and pieces?
Weren't they on, like, a spaceship, but then it was also, like, a time thing?
I
Like,
thought they were on a whole other planet. I remember him in his, like, soldier outfit being
I thought they were on this huge-ass spaceship, and he was in a soldier outfit, but then there was a fucking dinosaur someplace.
I think that was after they got him off of the planet. I don't know. I watched this, before, like, it's funny. I literally watched Doctor Who right when things started to get weird with my parents. Like, that was, like, 8th grade.
Yeah.
Freshman year, I was, like, Supernatural.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember a lot.
Fair.
And it makes sense that I'm suddenly watching Supernatural again, like we were
like,
talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's talk about the worst moments in my life when things were really not good.
Yeah.
And what I'm watching.
Correlation? Maybe.
Yes,
Yes,
probably.
absolutely.